Hi there, it's Friday. You made it to Friday, and I have got the great Bill B in D.C., Bill Boyle, joining me. If you want to jump to it, it starts at about 18 minutes and 45 seconds. But I've got headlines and clips, and want to thank everybody who joined me at last night's hangout. We had a lot of fun. Almost 3 hours and over 50 people for most of the time. Lots of old faces that we haven't seen in a little while, a few at least, and a couple of new folks. And very happy to have you. Very happy to have all new subscribers. Thank you very much for signing up. If you're not a paid subscriber, you are missing out. Patreon.com/Pete Dominic. This show is ad free, so I've got to plug the paid subscription. That's how we do it every day, Monday through Friday. Who does it better? You let me know, and I'll make it better. Send me your ideas, your suggestions, your requests, your compliments, your critiques. You got it. All of it. StandUpWithPete@gmail.com. All right. Wow. What a week. What a week is something you could say every week. But let's get started with those headlines and clips, and then we'll get to my conversation with Bill. Well, who knows what to believe about the war in Iran, but many news outlets, including the New York Times, reporting that the U.S. and Iran have drafted a ceasefire extension. The Trump regime closing in on a framework deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and extend its nominal ceasefire with Iran, even as both countries traded strikes and Israel escalated its bombing campaign in Lebanon. General Fatton has not yet signed off on this potential deal. He says apparently he wants a couple of days to think about it. There's some sticking points like Iran's nuclear program and frozen assets to future negotiations. Yeah, those sound pretty sticky. Also, it's not immediately clear whether the U.S. and Iran had the same understanding of the framework, though both sides did acknowledge that negotiators had agreed to a draft. So negotiators have agreed to a draft, but yet U.S. and Iranian military is still fighting. As recently as yesterday morning, the U.S. military downed 4 Iranian drones and struck a drone ground control station in Iran, apparently. Iran then fired a missile at U.S. base in Kuwait, which it called a retaliatory strike. And the rest of the Middle East is Israel attacked Beirut for the first time in almost a month and pushed deeper into southern Lebanon. Netanyahu said he directed the Israeli military to expand its control of Gaza to 70% of the enclave from its current 60% in an effort to pressure Hamas. And our dear leader said that more countries should be required to recognize Israel as part of the deal to the end of the war. But anybody that thinks that's going to happen, well, I've got a podcast to sell you. So I'll talk more with Bill Boyle about it in the conversation coming up, but right now I've got more headlines because apparently the Treasury Department and bootlegger Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is telling reporters at the White House that his department has prepared certain designs for a $250 bill with Donald Trump's fucking ugly face on it. Yeah. So current law does not allow the image of a living person on U.S. currency. And Scott Bessent said an act of Congress would be needed to issue the bill meant to celebrate the country's 250th birthday. I have no idea. Are they going to, there's no way that the Republican House and Senate are going to approve that, right? That's just, I can't imagine. All right. Politico is reporting that Pentagon has spent months positioning the troops and weapons needed for the U.S. to launch a military attack on Cuba. All it needs is a final go-ahead from General Eisenhower. Are we going to do Cuba as well? I don't think that's a good idea. That's a really bad idea. But, I mean, all ideas are bad ideas that come out of this crazy administration. Here's some good news. Researchers have announced that a new drug has essentially cured 1 in 5 patients with chronic hepatitis B infections. Well, that's pretty good. Chaos at 60 Minutes. Everybody is getting fired, and it's just an absolute travesty. Peter Thiel has left the country. That's right. The right-wing tech billionaire and Trump donor has temporarily relocated his family to Argentina. Huh. Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. The FBI arrested a CIA official after investigators found $40 billion worth of gold bars in his house. I read a little bit about this. He had requested the gold bars that he needed them for work or something, and he got them. How is that possible? I don't like that at all. Those are just some of the headlines that I've gathered for you from yesterday. There's a lot more, but I'm in a hurry today because I've got to go help my daughter's boyfriend move out of his apartment and move his stuff into the house where I'm going to store it for them while they gallivant through Europe for the next few months at least. So got to get that done, and looking forward to very much. I love moving. I love moving people. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've rented a truck. It's a whole thing. No, I love the guy, and I'm happy to do it. So I'm getting through these headlines for you a little faster. I guess that's why I told you. And I just like sharing things. I'm documenting my transition moving back into my house. Right now on Patreon, I write about it most mornings. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'll probably publish it on Substack too. Maybe it's boring. I don't know, but giving you a little look in my life. And I'm also looking for your advice and insight on this transition into an empty nest if you've got it. All right, let's get to those clips. What do I have for you? Let's start with some comedy, shall we? Jimmy Kimmel did a very funny sketch. They made a video using some kind of special software. They're able to insert Jimmy Kimmel in like a military man uniform, dressed as like a general, into the Trump cabinet secretary meeting, and then edit the reactions to make it look very real, like they were looking and listening to him in this. You got to see it, but I also think the things that he said in character as this kind of sycophantic bootlicker like the rest of them were so funny that the audio works as well. Here it is.
Great job. We're releasing a lot of information having to do with extraterrestrial things, and people are totally fascinated by it. It's amazing. I wasn't sure if they would enjoy it. It's literally trending #1. Can you believe it?
I can believe it, Mr. P. And I do, because you do. And I believe in you. And I believe in extraterrestrials. And if the extraterrestrials do come down and say, take me to your leader, I would be honored. I would be so honored to bring them here to suckle on your magnificent man-teats, to sample the sweet white milk that flows from your jamba jugs. And I know that I speak for little Marco and Bobby Brainworm and Vice President Sofa over there when I say that we pray that your diaper always be full and that the aliens will bow before you to kiss the ring on your little black and purple hands. And also, windmills. Am I right, everybody? There are a lot of clowns in that room, but the military guy is good. I like him.
Yes, very, very funny. Oh, I loved it. All right. Well, let's move on. Here is Congressman Adam Smith on CNN responding to that news and press conference yesterday about the $250 bill with stupid person's face on it.
You mentioned both the rule of law and briefly you also previously mentioned this $250 bill. The Treasury Secretary said, of course, the law says that nobody living can be on the money. You have to be dead. He said that they're going to try to get Congress to change the law. Have you heard anything about that? And what is your reaction to that possibility?
The big eye roll that you just saw is my reaction to that possibility. I mean, the ridiculousness of him wanting to put his face on a bill. Anyway, again, frankly, that's pure fascism. I mean, that's just, my face has to be everywhere. And second, no, it's illegal. Do I expect them to follow the law? No, I don't. I mean, they're supposedly asking us this session to change the Department of Defense to the Department of War. But again, they've already done that. So, no, I don't. I'm sure Trump will print up his $250 bill, just like he put his name on the money. Gosh, what else has he been doing? I lose track of it all. The Kennedy Center, all the stuff that is not legal. He just does it. So, no, I don't expect. I fully expect that they'll just go ahead and do it regardless of what Congress does.
All right. There you go. Well, that's one reaction to it. And I like it. Agreed. Now let's head over to the PBS NewsHour where they brought on Cuban Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, a woman named Josefina Vidal Ferrero. And, she had a warning for America if we invade Cuba. It was subtle, but it was there. And I think it should be taken seriously. Well, this is a great interview. I'm glad I saw it. Worth sharing.
We don't like war. We don't see conflict with the United States. We hope it is prevented because we don't see any reason why Cubans and Americans should die, because there would be thousands of deaths if there is an aggression, and there will be a lot of destruction. And it doesn't have any sense, so.
When you say Americans shouldn't die as well, what is it that Cuba is prepared to do? I mean, President Diaz-Canel has said that Cuba will respond if there's U.S. military action. He said, we'll defend ourselves. If we need to die, we'll die. Is Cuba prepared to strike U.S. targets if there's U.S. military action?
Cuba will defend itself. So I'm sure that the American people who is about to celebrate in a little bit more than a month, 250th anniversary of its independence, will perfectly understand why Cubans are determined to defend our independence and not to have any foreign power to tell us what to do and how to do it. So this is the same sentiment, the same feeling you have for your independence that Cubans have for our independence, and we are determined to defend it because we cherish our independence.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, well, good. Good for her. Good for them. I really hope that this doesn't happen. Okay, probably will. That would suck. Let's move on, though, to legal expert Liz Oyer, very smart woman, used to work in the Justice Department. She was on MS Now, and she had a few things to say about Todd Blanche and more.
This man is totally given up on the idea that the Attorney General works for the American people.
Would you be okay with people who were convicted of hurting police getting taxpayer money?
Just to be clear, people that hurt police get money all the time. Okay, there's a process where if you believe you have your rights violated, you can apply for funds, you can sue, you can file a claim, you can go to court. In some of those cases, the state, the government, the federal government settles those cases. It's abhorrent to ever touch a law enforcement officer, which is why anytime anybody does that, and it's a federal officer, we'll prosecute them.
We'll prosecute them and then pardon them.
And then give them money.
What the hell's he talking about, Liz?
That is just a lie. It's just a flat-out lie. I mean, Glenn's right that Blanche was viewed as this conventional guy before, and in fact, people in DOJ were like, Todd Blanche is going to come in and save us from Pam Bondi and Emil Bove. That could not be further from the truth. This man is totally given up on the idea that the Attorney General works for the American people. He has made it 100% clear that the Attorney General works for Donald Trump alone, and he will say anything he needs to, no matter how much plainly ridiculous it is, like what he just said there, to cover for Donald Trump. It's outrageous.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't tell you there was a little Todd Blanche clip there, but that was from CNN, I think, and that was Liz Oyer on MS Now, very smart legal analyst, and they have the best legal analysts. They do a lot of that over there because Lisa Rubin was on Chris Hayes' show on, I think, Wednesday night and gave a great explanation as to why E. Jean Carroll had done nothing wrong, and this is obviously, like you didn't know, a politically motivated investigation into her that we've just heard about. So I wanted to share that with you. Here's Lisa Rubin explaining it, and it's important.
Well, Chris, this is an issue that actually percolated at E. Jean Carroll's first of the two trials that I attended. And we do know when she gave that deposition, and we also know, maybe more importantly, when her lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, then disabused Trump's then lawyer, Joe Tacopina and Alina Habba of their belief that E. Jean Carroll had lied in her October 2022 deposition. I'm going to read to you from a letter that was sent to Mr. Tacopina's firm by Robbie Kaplan in April of 2023 on the eve of that first trial. And I think based on what she says in this letter, the notion that there's a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll is sort of gobsmacking. She writes, "It appears that you may be operating on a misunderstanding of the facts. As Ms. Carroll testified at her deposition, she had and continues to have a contingency fee arrangement with her counsel." And let me just pause there for our viewers. That means that E. Jean Carroll was not paying her lawyers as the case went along, but that the lawyers were themselves bearing the fees, and that if there was going to be a recovery, then they would get some percentage of that. Robbie Kaplan continues, in September of 2020, well after Ms. Carroll filed her state court complaint in November 2019, that's the first lawsuit that E. Jean Carroll filed that ended up going to federal court because Trump wanted it there, not because she wanted it there. Then she says, counsel for Ms. Carroll secured financial support from a nonprofit organization that would help offset certain costs and fees in connection with counsel's work on Ms. Carroll's behalf. And here's the important part. Ms. Carroll has never met and has never been party to any communication, written or oral, with anyone associated with that nonprofit or its financial supporters. And let me then take a step back. The day before this letter, Robbie Kaplan had written to Alina Habba and said, look, in connection with preparation for trial, Jean now remembers something that is different than what she testified to when you took her deposition. She now remembers that she did know that we had secured some funding on her behalf.
Right.
That doesn't change the fundamental fact of her testimony that she knew that this was a contingency fee case, and she wasn't aware at that time that anyone was paying legal fees in the case. She since has remembered understanding that we received some funding on her behalf. If this is the basis for a criminal investigation begun by the U.S. Department of Justice, now headed by former Trump personal counsel Todd Blanche, who, according to CNN's reporting, is recused, but now is being run out of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois in Chicago. If this is what this is based on, I don't even know what to say to you and our viewers about this as a criminal investigation.
All right. There you go. Great explanation from Lisa Rubin on that. And I felt like it was worth sharing and hearing. All right, finally, let's end with some comedy, too. It's Conan O'Brien giving the commencement speech at his alma mater, Harvard, and making a very funny joke about the fact that Trump administration has sued Harvard, and we love Conan and anything he does. So here it is.
The federal government of the United States is suing our university. Yeah. Many people think I've come today to defend Harvard. Well, sorry, those people are wrong. Not only am I not against these lawsuits, I'm here to announce that I'm joining them. I, too, am suing Harvard. I'm suing Harvard for the cast iron bunk bed that greeted me upon my arrival at Hallworthy 16 my freshman year. A bed that has since been confiscated by The Hague as an instrument of divine cruelty. I'm suing Harvard for allowing me to sign up for a 9 a.m. class at the Science Center and a 10 a.m. class down at Soldiers Field. For God's sakes, I was a child! And finally, I'm suing Harvard because, and this is absolutely true, in the spring of my sophomore year, while trying to grab a quick lunch at Adam's house, I was served a meal called Captain Ben's Fish Spaghetti. To this day, I have no idea who Captain Ben is or why someone would combine government-issue cod with spaghetti. Harvard, I'll see your ass in court. Yes, I'm confident that my claims will have more merit than those filed by the President of the United States. Yes.
Actually, a very clever and funny joke. At first, it seemed like, I'm mad, I'm going to sue about these stupid things that happen. But he was making a point that they were all more meritorious, that a word, than the allegations or the lawsuits filed by General Eisenhower and his minions. All right, that's the clip show. Those are the headlines. Now it's time to get to my conversation with Bill Boyle. We caught up yesterday afternoon. You can watch it. Many of you did and joined us live and commented, and it was great. Really appreciate that. Always use a lot of those comments in this conversation with Bill, who lives in D.C. Many of you think that he's some kind of special CIA agent or something. He's not. I've looked into it. I've looked deep into it. And he's just he has a parking garage owner. And he used to call the old show. And he's very smart. And he's very kind. And one of the reasons why he's a lot of people's, one of their favorite guests is because he doesn't have an agenda here in terms of, making sensational claims and divisive things and making a name for himself so that he can be more of a make money and have influence as a pundit. That being said, he is great on Blue Sky, where he often posts, and I love reading him over there, and I always love talking to him. Let's do it right now with Bill B. You can watch it on YouTube and Substack at Stand Up With Pete. All right. Bill B. in D.C. on a Thursday. Lots to talk about. Thank you for joining me. I have a lot of questions. I want to get your thoughts on the latest. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I saw that there's a headline that there's a peace deal is about to happen between Iran and the U.S., and I feel like we should not be talking about a peace deal. We should not be trusting the negotiators here. If there is some kind of a deal, I feel it should always be immediately primarily compared to the deal that Obama and his team negotiated to see if it's better, because he tore that up. That's why we're at where we're at. Not only that, obviously, because Israel convinced him to start the war with them. So that would matter. If there is a deal, it needs to compare. But I still feel like reading the news is almost a waste of time about it, because you can't trust anyone on this.
So this is going to come as a great shock to you, but the Iranians have already said
The news that's out only reflects the U.S. position. And the U.S. position is actually pretty pathetic. The U.S. position is that the Strait will be open for 60 days, but we will not resolve the question of Iranian nukes. We will stop our blockade of Iran. Iran has 30 days to stop attacking ships with mines, and humanitarian aid and other aid can already go into Iran. And on top of that, they will be open to allowing Iran to access money that was seized.
Right.
Generally.
That's a big deal, because they always criticize the Obama administration for unfreezing. They always said that Obama sent them pallets of money when in fact they unfroze money that was theirs. And this is exactly what they'd be doing. Is that right?
Right. And what's going on here is, in effect, the U.S. is basically giving Iran pretty much everything it wants. And the Iranians are not saying, yes, we're good, we'll do it. So it's sort of a ridiculous situation we're in. I mean, the Iranians are basically getting everything they want, and they're not giving up very much, and they're not even agreeing necessarily to the deal that Trump's people are claiming is on the table. So yet again, it's more BS being spouted out.
So wait, just be clear. I mean, what is your speculation, or is there any reporting on why do they keep doing this? So the Trump administration just announces we've got a deal as a way of somehow some like old New York PR technique with
they're trying to
a
jawbone
talent
themselves out of the jam that they put themselves in.
But how can you jawbone yourself out of something like this? Like that doesn't work here, especially not.
That's a good question, but they've tried it 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, I was going to say this several times they've done this.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 times they've done this. Like they just keep doing it, hoping that there'll be some sort of change. And, you know, they don't understand the role of holes. You know, they have dug themselves a hole and they're just continuing to dig. Nothing's really changed. Iran has still effectively won. And it's effectively, and Iran, by the way, is still talking about doing an environmental charge, quote unquote, for ships to go through the Straits. The Iranians have not backed off of effectively collecting a toll in the Strait of Hormuz. And we're back at square one. I mean, right. And by the way, say that they come up with some sort of deal that they're willing to stick to for the next 60 days. Everyone assumes or knows that doesn't necessarily mean there's any deal at the end of 60 days. So the sense of uncertainty that's going to still crush gas prices is still going to be there. That's not going to go away. And so that's where we are.
That uncertainty hangs like a cloud, so oil markets don't move that much either way?
No, not at all. And on top of that, the fact is we're going into the summer travel season. So normally in the summer travel seasons, I've told you before, gas prices in the U.S. go up by about 40 cents. We're already at the average in the whole U.S. is $4.50, almost $5, and we haven't even hit that season yet. So gas prices are not going back to $3 for years, probably at this stage. So this, will a deal to end this war be good? Sure. Will it be good for the U.S.? Almost certainly not. Will it be good for the world economy? Not for a long time. And these guys, I don't think, are any closer to a deal today than they've been, unless the Iranians just kind of say, okay, we've had enough, we've gotten enough, and we're willing to make a deal that's in our favor.
So we don't even really need to be paying attention to it. Whatever comes out.
Wait until it's signed on the dotted line. You've got 2 completely distrustful interlocutors.
And the Israelis seem to still matter a great deal and still have a great deal of influence on the Trump administration. And their choices, who was it? One of the Israeli cabinet members said something to the effect that we won't let the U.S. stop.
Right.
And that made headlines because the phrasing of it, we won't let from.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, they have, Israel has what it wants to get done in this scenario, and they are not really beholden to the U.S. Bibi feels that he's in control of that relationship.
Yeah.
And that he can pressure Trump domestically more than Trump can pressure Bibi domestically. And he's probably right about that, actually, because Trump has basically sold his soul. So Bibi can do what he wants to do. And it's amazing, cart before the horse, tail wagging the dog situation that the secondary power Israel is dictating to the world's sort of somewhat remaining hegemon. It's amazing.
let's go to Ukraine and Russia. There's been a reporting, in addition to just pronouncements from the administration, pulling out troops in Germany because he doesn't like the German chancellor, pulling out troops in Poland because I don't know why, maybe Putin asked him. And now there's more headlines and something about military equipment and it being pulled back. We talked about it yesterday with David Rothkopf. I forget exactly the headline.
And also they're putting 4,000 troops back into Poland.
The U.S.?
Yeah, the U.S. is, yes, which is really just of the 5,000, only 1,000 are actually leaving. So they're all over the map on this stuff, where they make this big gesture, probably because someone said something to somebody in a meeting, and then an hour later, somebody else in the administration comes walking in and says that was a bad idea, and they try to fix it.
So what is the health of NATO? What is the update on the conflict, the war right now? I see Iceland is trying to join NATO because why? Yeah. Well, they're worried about the U.S.
Yeah, I think Iceland's trying to join the EU, actually. And what's going on with NATO is that NATO has a fatal flaw in that the old saw was that NATO was to keep the Russians out, keep the Americans in, and keep the Germans down. The Americans are breaking from that treaty, and the Trump administration is. Not American in general, by the way. American public opinion is very strongly in favor of staying in NATO. But the White House has their own crazy idea they're trying to follow through with. And they feel like we somehow have a bad deal with NATO. And NATO is like a key platform of American force projection across the world. The White House is too stupid to understand that. So NATO is weakened, obviously, if the U.S. is not able to or is not willing to support it. That being said, there are a lot of pretty amazing things happening in Europe where the Europeans are getting their act together. Something that is sort of below the radar for folks is that France is now extending through bilateral agreements its nuclear umbrella over the rest of Europe. I think they just did Norway, and they're going to do Poland, so basically the French are saying, look, between the force de frappe, which is the French nuclear program, and British nuclear weapons, there's about 500 or 600 of them, including some on submarines. That's enough to deter the Russians from using nukes if the U.S. withdraws its nuclear umbrella. And that's a big deal. That's something that like only the sort of defense nerds notice, but that's a very serious thing when France is saying, hey, you know what? We'll put it out there and we'll do what the U.S. won't do if necessary. So the Europeans are showing up. The Europeans are giving $90 billion to Ukraine this year. I can see that going on basically for the foreseeable future. They are really, they're not great. They're not perfect, but they are really doing their best, I think, given the structures they're in, to help out Ukraine as much as possible. So I think the future is a European-based defense system for Western Europe and Eastern Europe, frankly. And I think that the U.S. is shooting itself in the foot by doing what it's doing. I will tell you, I don't think any other administration in the future in the U.S. will want to have the position the Trump administration does with NATO, because most other presidents are not short-sighted, narcissistic sociopaths who can't imagine the world after that.
You shared this reporting from Julia Yaffe, our friend Julia, super always great, about how Putin views Trump. Quote, the orange one is such a great guy. We must make him a golden statue. And if we're lucky, we'll make it in Kyiv. I'm saying it right now, according to one of his closest allies. Did you read that article?
I did. Well, she also, in her post on Blue Sky, she gave me I was one of several people she gave a slight tap to, because she said the white hot takes that Prigozhin's rebellion suggested that the Russian regime was on its last legs. I was 100% one of those people, which she and I had a pretty funny exchange about it after that. But I think that Julia is a very pessimistic observer of the situation. And I think she is, because she's smart and she knows it better than most people. And Russian history is not a milieu that will give you a lot of optimism about the world.
Right. But that doesn't always make
her favorite thing to say is tomorrow will be worse.
Tomorrow will be worse was her pinned tweet.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Julia starting to go, well, wait a minute, things are starting to look a little shaky, I think is pretty significant. I think it's been shaky.
Is that what she's saying?
Yes, she is starting to say, you look around and this doesn't look great for them. And what she's really doing, because she's a good reporter, is she's saying, this is what people in Moscow are saying. You know, she's not putting her personal opinion out there. She's highlighting what she's seeing or what she's hearing from folks in Moscow. Now, where I would disagree with her, I think there's a limit to how useful it is when talking about the war, how useful it is to talk to people in Moscow. I think a lot of these folks are just immersed. And, to be honest with you, I talk to people who are, get U.S. government info on the stuff, people who are attached to Western militaries. They all are so pessimistic about Ukraine's chances. And I think yeah, you'd be surprised. And I think it's because Western militaries tend to be still stuck in a model of how wars are supposed to work that predates drones. I also think that, Russia just spends its days talking up how strong it is. I think that if you're an analyst or a political person, you're going to defer to the side of caution. But I still hear from people, in that world that Russia has endless amounts of troops it can throw at this. It's like, if it did, it would have already won. Like it. So, to be clear, I am very definitely an outsider. I'm not an internal guy who gets the intel or whatever. And maybe being an outsider might be an advantage.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Because you've been right about a lot of this in that conflict and other things, which is why we love talking to you. Don't want to blow any smoke up your ass, but I just did.
I don't need any smoke up my ass for sure.
Speaking of blowing smoke up your ass, the cabinet meeting took place yesterday, and some journalist did some kind of research about like every 5 statements is some kind of ass-kissing statement or some kind of insulting of the president's enemies.
Yes.
Lots to talk about there, but I just, the behavior is so bizarre and it's so bad.
Is it?
And yesterday in the cabinet meeting, Trump had Hegseth on his left, and he goes, "This guy loves war." And he gave him a little nudge, and Hegseth laughed. And I haven't seen anybody talk about that. I understand why. It's just a little moment there, and you're not surprised by it. But to say that the president says this guy loves war, and then the secretary of war kind of laughs about it. Meanwhile, I just read the United States military is testing a new weapon in Iran. It's a new bomb, a new missile. It has a lot of little bomblets. Killed 21 civilians in a neighborhood block. Right. And obviously everybody knows about the girls' school. There's been a lot more of that that you don't know about. And Hegseth loves war in the Pacific, just fucking sending missiles into what could be drug dealers, but still you would arrest them and try them, not just assassinate them. So that moment to me stuck out. I just want to underscore, I don't know if you have anything to say about it, we can move on, but like to me, that was so gross.
Two things. The last prominent American figure that I can remember basically saying war is awesome would be Robert E. Lee, who said, it's a good thing war is so terrible, otherwise we would love it so. So that's the precedent for these folks. But the other thing is that all of this sort of, what would you call it? Ass kissing, this sort of
bootlicking.
The bootlicking. Thank you. The ridiculous amounts of praise, this over the top Slavish devotion. It's in line with, for instance, today they're painting the lions around the Lincoln Memorial gold. They
really?
Dumping all this money into monuments. The White House has been embellished with all these Louis XIV's gold curlicues and, Nikolai Ceausescu and, style like shit on everything. They're like, it's like the gold braid you see on like an Italian lieutenant's shoulder.
They're also bringing back Confederate soldier statues in D.C. and getting rid of Black Lives Matter. I played this yesterday on today's show, importing ones that they didn't even ever have there. They're bringing back the ghosts of Confederates and making them statues in Black Lives Matter Plaza in D.C.
It's not even the Confederacy thing so much as this is what dictators like to do. Now, Trump is not a dictator yet. He is, I don't think, particularly close to being a dictator. But he is...
He doesn't know it.
Well, right. But he's carrying out all of those, building gigantic Arc de Triomphe and at Arlington Cemetery, putting his face everywhere. For Penn Station, he wants his name on Penn Station in New York. He's just putting his name and his face. They want to put his face on a $250 bill, by the way, which is totally and egregiously against the law. So what you're seeing is fascist and dictatorial ideation. That the movement has basically accepted him as their dictator, and they're going to try to put it out there as much as they can. Now, if Trump was winning, had gotten rid of elections and was 70%, had a 70% approval rating, I would say, okay, this is what a dictator does. In this case, it's what a wannabe dictator is doing, and his approval rating is in the 30s. This next election looks like a total blowout, and these guys are deeply unpopular. They're now underwater by 10 or 15 points with white voters who did not go to college. And they won these people by double digits or more in the last election.
I saw some interesting analysis last night on Chris Hayes, who I love, on MS Now. And I'll just I kind of rephrased it or paraphrased what he said earlier, and I'm just going to read it from my Threads account. He has a tighter and tighter grip on a shrinking group of us. It creates an illusion of a strong man getting stronger, but it's not the case. A dwindling smaller group of people who make a disproportionate amount of noise in media and culture. Hope is alive. Keep fighting. Find joy. Ease suffering. Get outside. I just tagged that at the end. Yeah. But to the point of him getting a tighter grip on a smaller group of cult followers, that seems to be everybody's analysis.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right.
It doesn't seem that way. It's illusionary because we've been living this.
Yeah, he's the king of the Republican primary voter.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's it. He's the emperor of the Republican primary voter. But, is that enough? I don't think it is. And I think that every week that goes by, the reach of his power gets shorter and shorter.
That slush fund we talked about, I bet that last week, and I still hold, and I've heard other smarter analysts say this now, nobody's ever going to see $1 of that. No one's ever getting $1 of that. We spent a lot of time crying and whining about that, as we should have, because it's the most outrageous piece of corruption anybody we've ever seen. But no one's getting it. That money is never going to get where Republican senators, like 20 of them in a meeting the other day, went nuts on the Attorney General, Todd Blanche, for this deal. And Republican commentators, conservative commentators, MAGA commentators, many of which are against it as well. So that's also a pretty good sign. Yeah, when he does these stupid, outrageous things and they fail, he just looks like a loser and an outrageous, flagrant loser.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing to be a populist that delivers for regular people. That can work. Mussolini delivered quite well for a little while. So
but he's delivering gold lions and a UFC match and an arch and a ballroom. Nothing anybody wants. Nobody wants it.
Is Trump delivering now at all for anybody? Not really.
On any metric. On any metric at all. Unless you love drinking liberal tears. There's still plenty of them.
Right. I mean, it's often striking to me, like I talk to people who seem really pessimistic, and it's very bizarre. I mean, I'm involved in local DC politics, and it's funny. It's people tend to be either totally pessimistic or like, let's lash out and just attack. And that's not where we should be. The people who get mad, like, the Democratic Party sticks to norms too much. No, that's what the Democratic Party should do. Norms are good. And if we can reinforce those norms and take over, I mean, we're very likely to destroy these guys in the midterms with a party that is sticking to norms.
We never knew how good norms were.
That's right. And we need to.
We never knew how amazing normal was.
And what we found actually is that laws stick up much better than norms do. And I think that's going to be the outcome of this ultimately, is that there's going to be a lot of black letter law that enshrines these norms into, a legal situation. And, as I constantly tell you and everyone else, our legal profession, our judges have more or less stood up pretty well. Our Supreme Court is the one very politicized part of this, and that's the one place it's broken down, and that's going to be a thing we're really going to have to fix.
I just want people to be able to psychologically and emotionally separate some of the pronouncements, choices, decisions, and developments that happen from the ones that have happened, from the ones that, yes, these people have died, these people have been deported, these norms are gone, these regulations are gone. So much damage has been done. But let's not give them too much credit. Our friend Benny Alexander in the chat talking about how outraged he wrote, that orange fuck sending goons after E. Jean Carroll a week after creating that bullshit slush fund enrages me to no end. It enrages me too, Benny, but I love E. Jean Carroll, and even more impressive, her lawyer, Roberta Kaplan. Let them come for the toughest amongst us so they can serve him a sandwich of failure, and then he looks worse, he gets weaker. So all these outrageous moves he makes, when they fail, let's count that they failed, not that just be upset that they were attempted.
It's not an assault on democracy when he goes after someone who, hey, let's do discovery again. Let's talk about all that stuff that happened with E.G. Carroll again. And by the way, the prosecutor who is pursuing this is the same prosecutor in Illinois that just got absolutely crushed.
Oh, good.
Over those.
Yeah, because there's no case. Because I heard the analysis of the case. There is no case. It's just like James Comey, 86. Right. It's just like Letitia James. It's like the Fed chairwoman that he went after for a mortgage. There isn't a case. So many, they can't get indictments in your town.
That's right. And so can you imagine how those Illinois judges who have just watched these prosecutors in that other case, who are going to be the ones for this case, actually redacted bits of the grand jury testimony that they gave to the judge. They lied to the judge about the grand jury did. They actually, during the grand jury, got people out of the grand jury who they didn't think would agree with an indictment. Like, they violated every rule you possibly can. And that's going to be the same people going in front of the same judges who are going to laugh these fools out of court. So I understand the outrage, but don't let your outrage ignore the fact that this will just be yet another defeat for Trump.
Speaking of defeats for Trump, he cannot stop stealing victory from the jaws of defeat, specifically with the U.S. Senate. In his first term, in his first midterm, now in his second midterm, I think 3 cycles, Trump has picked the loser, Herschel Walker. Yeah. I can't think of all the names. He keeps picking the loser, and as a result, they are very likely or possible, you can decide what language you want to use, to lose the Senate. A few of our friends are wanting to know your thoughts on this most recent primary in the great state of Texas. Sure. They have decided to nominate the guy who Trump picked at the last minute, Ken Paxton, who's a giant piece of shit. His wife hates him. His friends hate him. Everybody hates him.
Yeah.
He's a terrible person.
He was impeached by Republicans.
Impeached, so corrupt, just to let out a pedophile out of jail, whatever. And their toughest line of attack against Tallarico is he's Telefrico and he's a vegan. And I'm sorry, but Tallarico is way more religious and a scholar. Yeah. And he actually uses the right language around it. So what do you make of Texas? What do you make of the Senate right now, the midterms in general? Jim Babowski says in the chat, I don't have faith in people to be able to break from their parties. And I agree, probably, except for a lot of people, Jim, and I'm guessing Bill will probably agree or not, they won't go to vote. They might not change their ideology, but they're not motivated to go out and vote or to campaign or do all the necessary things to help, in this case, Republicans get elected.
I mean, the polling right now, as of yesterday, shows that Tallarico's at 45%. This is before the Democrats deploy tens of millions of dollars in literally all they have to do is run Republican ads against Paxton from the last couple of cycles that the RNC ran against him.
Yeah.
Like, Paxton is just a obnoxious.
The RNC account, social media accounts had to go back and
corrupt piece of shit. Right. And somebody was saying on one of the social media sites recently or yesterday that Tallarico just has to say, Paxton protects pedophiles. 3 Ps. I don't care what you think of me or anyone else. Paxton protects pedophiles. Like, he got a guy a 1-day sentence.
Do you think that's worse than supporting
a little boy?
Do you think protecting pedophiles is a more effective attack than being anything pro-transgender? Which is worse?
Oh, 100% protecting pedophiles. There's an actual case. This isn't like Paxton had some sort of friendship with Epstein, blah, 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 blah. This is that Paxton got a guy off who admitted to multiply abusing a little boy. Let me put it this way. If Tallarico's already at 45 now, I don't think he wins by more than 52-48. I do agree with folks. Texas is quite polarized place. But Paxton is the kind of guy that, and by the way, there is, if you look at where Paxton did not win in the districts, he did not win in Texas during the primary that just finished. A lot of what normally would be Republican districts where there's a highly educated folks who make money, like Cornyn killed Paxton in those districts, 3-4 to 1. And that's enough. If those folks either stay home or say, fuck it, I can't have this child molesting, corrupt piece of crap as my senator, I think Tallarico wins. And again, this is all, it's what, May?
To be fair, Paxton was never accused of actual child molestation, but but you think that because he looks like he has done
I mean, yeah, I'm not one to, but I mean,
come on.
And the thing about Paxton is he's just so blatantly shitty. He's so blatantly.
Yeah, terrible. He's bad. He's real bad.
And, he flaunts it. And of course, Cornyn kissed Trump's ass to try to avoid this situation. But it really gets to it how Trump really wants a guy who's corrupt too. Trump wants a guy who's going to depend on him.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's the only thing he cares about is somebody who's going to be loyal to him. That's the only thing he cares about, which is, it's an interesting thing because it says, we've known that for 10 years about him, the kind of narcissist and self-centered sociopath he is. But you would think that if you were a smart, evil narcissist, you would still want to get behind somebody who would help you win and not get impeached. But he can't separate his revenge from being a pragmatic politician, because that's not.
Trump doesn't have object permanence. All Trump has is does somebody support me or not support me? Is somebody someone I can control or not can control? And that's it. And Cornyn, ultimately, when the chips came down, Trump didn't own him. Trump will own Paxton if Paxton wins.
Let's talk about this big concert that is happening for 250th anniversary.
I'm not familiar with that.
Benny Alexander's desperate to know your thoughts on it. One thing I need Bill to answer is how excited is he to see Vanilli play in the 250? Well, isn't it just Vanilli now? Didn't Millie?
Oh, is it? It's even whiter than it was before.
Well, either way, apparently some of the artists have already pulled out and say they were lied to about what the event was by the seller of the event, and so I don't know. I have you been paying? That's in your town. This concert was in DC,
2 miles away from me.
So what's the controversy? Why are they pulling out? Did Trump stamp it or something?
Oh, the guy from The Time was like, I want nothing to do with this bullshit. And then
The Time,
was it? I forget their name. Whatever in The Time, the guys used to play with Prince.
Oh, one of the artists. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then there's some other rapper who was like, I had no idea this was political at all.
Young MC.
Young MC, right. So, let me put it this way. I was just at a dinner full of developers, right? This is one of those yearly dinners for people in the development industry in DC. This is by far from the most liberal place you can go in DC. In fact, basically conservative Democrats, right? Moderates. These are all
they're developers.
These are people who develop commercial real estate property.
They're builders. Yeah. Uh-huh.
At this event, it was amazing. People kept saying to me, "Are you going to go to any of this bullshit?" It was a subject at this event.
There's a huge plan of events for the 250th on over a period of days. Forgive me for not knowing.
And nobody from DC will go.
Yeah.
Nobody will go.
It's just going to be
people are saying I'm not going to give them the ability to take a picture of a crowd and make it look like anyone's going. And that's been happening here a lot. Trump puts on these events that normally would have easily been 50, 75, 200,000 people, and 5 to 10,000 people show up. And people don't go downtown. If you live in the city, you don't go to this. You don't go at all. And it's going to be really interesting on the 4th of July because normally people go, there's a hills that kind of run along the city. People usually sit on these hills and watch the 4th of July fireworks. There's one at a high school near me where every year somebody really beautifully sings the Star Spangled Banner as the fireworks are going off. I'm really curious if that'll happen this year. I think people are so grossed out by these guys. They don't want to give them anything. They don't want to. Right. This isn't America's 4th of July for Trump. This is Trump's 4th of July. And I'm not going to that one for love or money.
Are you going to the UFC match?
UFC? No, God, no. Yeah, that's also so disgusting.
On the White House lawn. They're building it now.
There's a thing when I mentioned before about they're painting the lions gold at the Lincoln Memorial. Yeah. The reason all of these monuments in D.C. are white and have always been kept very unembellished isn't just that this is what they thought the classical world looked like. It was that austere look is how they felt about government. A government by the people for the people should be austere. It shouldn't piss away its money on beautiful palaces and gold lame on everything. And Trump is very obviously bringing the bread, the circuses, the gold embellishments to all of DC. And, it's gross and it's disgusting. And the fact that you have, the UFC having a fight where Abraham Lincoln used to walk in the garden is just a complete, disgusting. I don't even what the word. It's a blasphemy, frankly. And you're hearing this from someone who used to be a UFC fan. I used to fight. Like, I love boxing, and I used to do UFC style fighting myself. Like, and to have that on the White House lawn, like, fuck you. Like, you have no conception of what America is or what it should be or what it hopes to be.
It also, everybody's pointing to the fact that he wanted to build a ballroom that is super secure so they could have events there. But now they're having a fight in the lawn. It doesn't seem too secure. The point being, this is never about having events that would be more secure at all. This is about putting a stamp.
Let's be honest, it's gigantically, and I'm going back to my New Jersey roots here, it's gigantically douchey. It's creme de la douche. Yeah. And it's this sort of flashy, like, shallow, stupid thing. It's like calling the Secretary of Defense Secretary of War. Eisenhower said, like, all of us who have fought in World War II, we hate war. Kennedy said we hate war. Like, a normal person.
Anybody who's ever been in a war.
Right. And a normal person who's over 14 understands that war is a fucking terrible thing, and it's not a thing that you should want to do ever. Trump yesterday threatened Oman, our ally in the Persian Gulf. We really, really, really need to help us do what we're trying badly to do there. He threatened to bomb them yesterday. Like, these are morons. They're douchebags. And God, I cannot wait till they're fucking out of the White House.
Bill B in DC. Bill Boyle. Thank you very much for.
Yeah, that was almost like an Ozzy sort of send out. I like it.
I was a little phlegmy. When
a little phlegmy, yeah, but so was Ozzy.
Oh, really? So,
yeah, I thought so.
Not anymore.
Well, yeah,
he passed away. So did that jazz singer. I saw you post about him.
Sonny Rollins. Yeah, amazing sax. Fantastic guy.
I didn't know who he was until I read about him in a little bit.
Yeah, you heard him a lot. You just didn't
Probably,
realize.
Yeah. That's usually the case with me.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I don't listen really either.
That's how I would say I felt most embarrassed after Mark Twain died. I was like, I didn't even know him until he died.
Weren't you
a zygote
in your grandfather's ball sack when that happened?
My grandfather. I don't think your biology is. Speaking of which, are you worried about that Ebola? How bad do we look in not only not taking the lead in fighting it the way we always have, but like cutting off communication and just ignoring it? It'll just go away. It's going to go away.
I think we look like, again, giant douchebags, because douchebag seems to be the word of the day for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. Thank you very much for joining me. Always appreciate it. Thanks for watching live, everybody. Appreciate your comments. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
So long.
All right, there he goes, Bill Boyle, Bill B in DC. Follow him on Blue Sky, and thank you very much for being here. Follow me in all the places. Write a rating and review in all the places. Connect with other people on Discord, and thanks again to everybody who joined us at last night's hangout. Always rejuvenating, inspiring, and great to connect with other real human beings about what is happening in our lives and in the world. That was no exception last night. John Carroll was there, and so was Meredith, his wife, and we're always excited when he is. It's fun, and he sings us out every day. Take it away, Johnny. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everybody.
When the tyrants taunt you and the sirens teach you, better stand up. Stand up. Let the brave meet the challenge, let the weak flee. Oh, you better stand up. Stand up. When you're tired of begging, saying pretty please, that's the time you gotta finally get up off of your knees. When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think you're driving wheels with leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up up the window to let in some light. You gotta stand up. That's right. We got to rise up. You got to stand up. You gotta stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. So get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. And even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Boy, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change would begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. Alright, we got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it than now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand